Fate of Eric, Moonstone community event. Eric is more than a mere squire. Queen Diana has sensed it, Priestess Gwendoline has seen it, Baron von Fancyhead has always known it. Eric has power in his blood that lays dormant, waiting for ancient and powerful magics to awaken his potential. But what does that mean? And how can Eric help Tobi during one of its darkest ever times? All the factions know is that he must be recruited at all costs, so that he will fight holding their banner. Will Eric grow to become the Commonwealth hero of his dreams? Will he see Leshavic's green light and become a true convert to Leshavolt's cause? Or will the Dominion make him an offer he can't refuse? You decide. This is Julian speaking, welcoming you to another video out of the breach. We have a community campaign and I'm very excited to see how Eric's fate is decided by us players. In this video I will go over the important informations and read out the first part of the story. You will find all the information on the Moonstone website in the download section. Link is in the video description. If you just want to hear all about the campaign dates and informations, I will have timestamps for you to skip ahead. For all others, sit back and listen to the first part of the story. Part 1. A journey begins. The fox watched the top of the wizard's tower rip apart. Her expression quizzical, she said as two figures shoot out of the door, a blue cloud pouring after them glittered into nothingness. A lone figure soared into the tower, followed by another 3 marching across the open space at a slower pace. Curious, she thought. The eclipse orange sky had been overtaken by blue, with pieces of the destroyed moon hurtling towards the land as sparkling trails. From the top of her hill, she dispassionately watched the streaks and waited for the eventual sound of approaching footsteps. Cocking her head, she listened to 3 sets of feet on a gravel path. Mumbled voices, a cackle. Then Zoya was at the top, the grin on her face melting away when she saw the fox. Zoya hissed, "Stay away, fox!" The fox stared at the witch in amusement. Antonia joined her sister her cheeks ruddy. "Oh dear, you best stay away." The fox merely blinked. Finally, Danica joined the others and thrust her palm outwards towards the fox. "Begone, odious phantasm, there's nothing for you here." The fox looked at them each in turn, stood, and trotted away, tail swishing. The 3 pairs of eyes followed her as she sauntered down the hill, her mouth open in a dog-like grin. Very curious, she thought. The human and the fairy goblin were making so much noise it was very easy for the fox to find them. The fairy goblin, or Herbert as she'd heard him called, was gentle-footed but seemed to like the sound of his own voice. The human, Eric, was quiet but tramped through the undergrowth like a giant. The fox sat in the shade of a large tree and watched them pass by, discussing someone called Gwendoline. They didn't see her, and she silently trotted after them. Passing them easily, she sat regally in a ring of holly. They passed her again. She repeated her chase twice more. "I'll have to be more conspicuous," she thought, and sat in a thicket of hemlock, her trail flicking. Herbert spotted her and pushed his hand back towards Eric, his expression worried. "Oh, no, that's not a good sign." What isn't?" "That fox." Eric peered at her and scratched his head. "Why isn't the fox a good sign?" Herbert gave him an incredulous look before carefully examining her again. "Foxes are bad luck, always up to no good, and can draw things to you. Bad, spirit-type things." The fox cocked her head and did her best to look sweet. Eric smiled, and their eyes met for a moment. "It doesn't look that bad to me." What was a moment to Eric was a rush of a magical vision to the fox, and she panted her surprise. Herbert shook his head and stalked forwards, beating his wings and flailing his arms. "What are you doing?" Eric laughed. "What does it look like?" Herbert muttered, then shouted at the fox. "Go on! Get out of here! Shoo!" The fox waited until he was in striking distance, then stood suddenly and scampered off into the vegetation. Oh my, no wonder the witches wanted to keep me away. They had been walking for hours, and finally the sun was setting. Eric was tired, his legs hurt, and he was confused about what had happened these past days and weeks. Streaks of debris from the moon were still careening across the sky, giving the woods a flame-orange glow as they passed. "This'll be a good spot for a camp," Herbert said cheerfully. Eric nodded weakly and plonked down onto a log. Herbert raised an eyebrow. "Go and gather some firewood while I clear the space and get things sorted." "Do we have any food?" "That's what I'll sort," Herbert grinned. Eric hauled himself to his feet and wandered into the nearby trees, accompanied by Herbert's cheerful whistling. The sound grated his ears, so Eric walked until the whistles were barely audible and stopped in a hollow surrounded by large oak trees. He began to gather wood while he pondered what had happened. How did the census journey turn into whatever that was. I still don't understand what was going on. Were the Elwitch working against us the whole time? Did they cause the eclipse? Or cure it? He grasped a furry stick and yelped in surprise. Scrabbling away, he dropped the wood he had collected. The fox looked at him, and he thought, "It can't be smiling at me, but somehow it looks amused." Shoo! Half-heartedly he waved his hands towards the fox. To his surprise, it stood and trotted away around a thick oak trunk. He leaned to his right to watch it scamper off, but didn't see any movement up the embankment. He paused, listened for footfalls, but there was still nothing. Slowly he crept around the tree, looking at the roots for the small fox shaped in the shadows. Sandaled feet came into view, and Eric yelped, stumbling backwards into a blackberry bush. "It's quite rude to shoo people, you know." The red-haired woman smiled, her large amber eyes sparkling. Leaning against the tree, she looked relaxed, the ribbon-like wisps of her skirt gently waving around her legs gave her an ethereal air. I didn't... that is... what?" Eric frowned, untangling himself from the thorny grip. She scrunched her mouth in a sideways smile and hopped away from the tree. "Never mind, Eric. It doesn't matter." Her accent was unusual. Eric couldn't place where she was from. "How did you know my name?" "May I call you Rick instead? It's far friendlier, and I'm sure we're going to be firm friends." "Thank you, Rick." She strode forwards and took his arm. Her long red hair brushed his shoulder, and he caught a scent of wild roses. "You're welcome." Eric found himself being led by her further into the forest. When they reached a clearing dappled with golden sunlight, she stopped and turned to face him, her amber eyes boring into his own. "What are you doing, Rick?" "Fetching firewood?" She sighed. "I don't mean this evening. I mean in your life." "What? What do you mean?" "You want to be a knight, don't you?" Well, yes." Eric scowled and felt his stomach bubble with discomfort. "How does she know all this?" Gently, she took his face into her soft hands, the scent of roses wafting towards him again. "I can help you, Sir Eric of the Glade." He looked into her eyes, birds singing and insects vibrating around them, saluting the first sunset for many weeks. It would have been romantic were it not for the knot of worry in his chest. He whispered, "Why?" "There's magic in your blood, Sir Knight. It's not my place to tell your tale, but the path you choose in the coming month will write the future of the whole of Tauber." "Me?" "Yes, you." "But why? How?" "Do you wish to walk your path? To be guided and shown the bends in the road ahead?" "Yes, well, I think so." She grinned. "Excellent. You will have 3 tasks that will show you the path you can choose. Then you may make your final choice. I vow, Eric of the Glade, after a year and a day, you will have everything you need to become a knight." goose pimples ran up Eric's arms. I don't understand. Her smile dwindled and looked sad. You will. He stepped out of her grasp and narrowed his eyes. Why should I trust you? She laughed, a pealing, pleasant sound. Oh, Rick, you shouldn't. She spun away from him, her green skirts flaring, sending petals from her flower belt cascading behind. Eric flinched, and when he looked back, a fox was running into the bushes, the young woman nowhere in sight. What was that all about? He thought, scanning the trees for the woman and for the many birds that were still singing. Eric! Eric, where are you? Herbert called, his voice rattling around the trees. Oi, Rick! Eric grasped a few sticks and jogged back into the trees, heading for Herbert's voice. The golden light from the sunset was replaced by dimness among the trees as night marched closer. All three factions of Tauber want to pull Eric on their side, but who will win his favor? Over roughly 2 months, starting on the 25th of July 2022, we will have the chance to play games and submit our results with the hashtag FateofEric. The campaign ends on the 18th of September. The faction with the most wins will get the evolved Eric as a playable character in the future. You can play games with whatever troop you like, but you can also use the Eric the Unsure version for your chosen faction. And over the course of the campaign, Eric will level up from Squire to Sire. The campaign is separated into 4 phases, and Eric will be able to get upgrades depending on the phase of the campaign. No upgrades in the first phase, 1 in the second, 2 in the third, and 3 upgrades in the fourth and final phase. The upgrades come from the campaign deck that was released with the Arising expansion. If you haven't had the chance to get your hands on a campaign deck, now is the perfect time for it. With the checkout code FateofEric, you'll get a £5 discount on your purchase of the campaign deck in the official Moonstone web store. Link in the video description. Until the end of August 2022. You can report games without using Eric the Unsure and the upgrades, but maybe you're missing out a bit of fun. Here we see the 4 phases and the progress of upgrades Eric can take. Every player can submit 2 results per phase, but a game should be reported by just one of the players. All games of the special tournament on the 27th of August can be played with Eric and 2 upgrades on him, according to the phase of the campaign, and count towards the progress of the campaign and will be recorded by Goblin King Games staff. If you're interested, check out the Moonstone Players Facebook page or contact Joe over the Discord and join an awesome event. I will travel from Germany to Bristol to participate, and I hope to meet a lot of you lovely people in person. I am very excited about the campaign and would like to hear your thoughts on it. What is the faction you're fighting for? What are your ideas for creative troops that contain Eric the Unsure? What upgrades will you choose? Let me know in the comments down below and join the conversation on Discord. I am looking forward to see the story of Eric unfold and hope you will all join the journey to shape the fate of Eric. You can expect some more information, story bits, and surely battle reports on the channel. So I hope to see you soon for another video or battle report out of the breach. The fairy goblin, or Herbert as she'd heard him. Oh, jetzt wird's aber los hier.